have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer. Let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, to an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms. Let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, to an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms. The lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their
right.
Yes. The right that someone has. All our rights exist in context.
What's the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a vision, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Pleasant Monday evening to you. This is the Freddie Kissoon Show with Leonard Craig. Hope you've enjoyed all the programs for the months that have gone by, and our last one with Dr. Betaham Ramarak and his book, The Wisma Massacre. What we found out over the past 2 years is that we get equal viewership when Leonard Craig and I rap or analyze or assess things in Guyana. And you know that from the viewership. So here is another episode in which we look at things in Guyana that out there people want interpretations of. And I will start with Aubrey Norton and Vincent Alexander and the question of moral obligation, constitutional rights. Norton said there is no need to meet with Mr. Azzuddin Mohammed, the constitutional head of the opposition in Guyana, because there is no vacancy for commissioners in GECOM. Someone like Neville Bisember, who is a law expert, and now recently Member of Parliament Amanza Walton-Desir, have come to the conclusion that you have a new opposition leader, and the opposition party, based on the constitution, need to have 3 GECOM commissioners to do the opposition's work in GECOM. So here's the question I'm going to ask Craig. If the constitution says the 3 commissioners cannot be removed, then how do you get an opposition leader? In the world, don't opposition parties come and go? For example, in the last 2 general elections in Barbados, there was no opposition leader. The incumbent won, the incumbent lost all the seats. And so the new incumbent didn't have an opposition. That incumbent held a general election and there was no opposition parliamentary seats. Now, if you had a case where the opposition leader had a say in Barbados in the election council, what would have happened when you didn't have an opposition leader? So here is what I would like to know as a non-lawyer. If the constitution says the opposition leader appoints 3 commissioners, there is an opposition leader. How do you get out of that? How How do you get out of that?
As a non-lawyer answering, there are two ways to look at it. When there is a vacancy, the opposition leader who is in place at the time is competent to make the appointment. Now, we got to go back to the framework of when this started. When it started, nobody contemplated that there is a third party or a fourth or a fifth party who would have significant acquisition in Parliament. All right, so the configuration
There
is
it was PNC versus PPP.
PNC, PPP, and that's it. And when is a one seat like TUF or WPA
in 1992,
and so on, a one seat or a two seat, and that's about it. And it doesn't affect PPP and PNC configuration. One is either government and the other is either opposition. And so there was no contemplation, and that even if the other wins government, the next one flips and takes the position of opposition. So there's no need to change anything. And with that configuration and that contemplation, nobody thought of putting in a saving clause, as they call it, to say that if that configuration changes, the new opposition leader has the power. So what happens after the first sets of appointment by the opposition leader and the president is that after that, if a vacancy occurs, he who serves as opposition leader at the time fills the position. And I think the Constitution is pretty much clear on that. The only argument we have is a moral argument that, hey, look, we understand the Constitution didn't contemplate that, but in practical politics, the scenario has changed, and people should do the decent thing and resign to create a vacancy to allow the new dispensation that was not contemplated, because it's easier for people's individual action to change, and it's easier for parties to negotiate than to change the Constitution. Constitutional change takes a whole lot of more negotiating and all kinds of things, and it takes a while. But it's easier for two parties to meet, strike an agreement, trade their horses in exchange for doing this. We're going to do that, so we're going to give up this, something like that. And I figure that's the only way. But while I'm a non-lawyer, I don't see, and based on explanations given by people who are lawyers and formidable ones at that, there's no way out of that.
Ramkaran said that.
Yeah, legally there's no way out of that.
Okay, now if legally there's no way out of it, I'm wondering, I once read a very, very good book written by one of the best sons Guyana produced, Professor Rudy James. And that book was called Law and the Political Environment, co-authored by former high-level Guyana scholar Harold Lachman, who later became Vice-Chancellor of the university. That book is very interesting to read, because what these two high-priced, high-powerful lawyers did, because Lachman was a social scientist, but he was also a lawyer. They showed in that book, Law and the Political Environment, that under the new Constitution 1980, of the Burnham 1980 Constitution, you have Clause 18. And Clause 18 contradicts Clause 36. You have Clause 48. And Clause 48 contradicts Clause 58. And I'm wondering, that allows the opposition leader to overcome another part of the Constitution and make the three appointments. Is there a part of the Constitution in which he can say, Article so-and-so says the opposition must appoint 3 commissioners? if the article says that I am the opposition leader, I am wondering if it's just waterproof that you can't move an opposition GECOM commissioner.
Okay, I don't know, but I also know that the very constitution outlines how to remove a commissioner. Specifically outlines to remove a commissioner, you gotta have a hearing for misconduct, or the person got to you gotta prove that the person is so sick that they cannot carry out the duties or whatever. So it is specifically said this is the way to remove a commissioner.
So there is an article dealing with how a commissioner could be
Removed, yes.
And there,
before, yeah.
And there isn't an article that overrides that, as what Professor Rudy James described in his book. There isn't an article that says the opposition leader must appoint GECOM commission, because I'm saying he could say, look, the Constitution says the opposition leader must appoint GECOM commissioners. I am the opposition leader. I have to appoint GECOM.
No, that's require technical arguments, like people who are skilled in law and they could go into certain certain legal doctrines that says he who appoints can also disappoint, and those kinds of things. There are those things that exist, and a clever lawyer might be able to incorporate it and present it before a judge and actually win a case. That depth of the law is beyond my competence to comment on, but I am sure there are enterprising lawyers who may very well want to do. I sometimes believe that I may have chosen, I may not have been wise in choosing my career. Probably I should have chosen law. And if I was in law, that's something I would have wanted to research and jump on. And win or lose, I would have wanted. And so I believe an enterprising lawyer might be able to incorporate doctrines and other research into providing that pathway or something, and to making an argument. But I can't comment on that because I won't be able to.
All right. I don't know if she said so. I know I read it in the papers. I read it in the media. I have read she contradicting the media and saying I was wrongly quoted. But months ago, there was a statement when this controversy kept brewing, right? I read where GECOM's chairman, Justice Claudette Singh, said the opposition needs to nominate 3 GECOM commissioners and present it to the commission.
Right. Now, I
don't know if she backed down over that.
I had written an article in the newspaper, and I think also on Facebook, to say that, look, a controversy can exist where that is concerned, and it does, but it should not have been the chairwoman who brought it to light. And if she wanted to bring it to light, she should have relied on legal advice. So
she's a lawyer.
Never mind, but in her position, she being, you remember, being the head of GECOM, you have to be neutral. And the other commissioners in GECOM are political people representing political sides. And you are not supposed to be seen overtly taking political sides. So she needed to be a little more clever. She could have introduced the issue, but not on her own behalf, on her own self. Take legal advice.
And say this
is the legal advice. So you keep it professional. No, what she did there was to put herself in the center, which she should not have done. I believe it's a mistake. There are more clever ways to do it. There are more, ways with more finesse to get it done, and she did not take that method, and I think it's a mistake. But having said that, we are in the midst of the controversy, and I believe it has to be settled through some legal process. all the way up to the CCJ, and let's have a definitive answer, and let's move on. Guyana needs to move on from this.
It can't be done before local government election unless all parties agree to the postponement, because to reach the CCJ, you have to first initiate action in a high court.
Yes, sure.
And then the Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
No one since this matter came up after the 2025 election. It's now 9 months after the elections. One would have thought around 4 or 5 months there would have been something in the High Court.
Right, because I think everybody understands that. I think most people understand that this is not easily settled by a legal question. I think some people probably don't even want to know the answer that is going to come from the courts. And people know that this thing is best settled either by constitutional change or by political parties talking with each other and trading ideas and coming off of their high horse and working around it. That's the two ways. And I don't think we should even want the court to intervene in a matter such as this. But I believe as a last resort, that might have to be the road we have to take.
I am just wondering if, as you rightfully say, a very astute lawyer could read something into those articles and say, hey, there's an opening. Yeah. I don't know if the GECOM chairman, as a lawyer, a former Court of Appeal judge, I don't know if she read it, and instead of asking the GECOM legal advisor to enunciate it, as you say, she did it herself. To name 3 GECOM commissioners. The 3 GECOM commissioners that are there are saying there is no methodology available to change a GECOM commissioner.
Yeah, there is, but you have to go through the process. You got to cite them for misbehavior, this, that, whatever. Hold a commission of inquiry, sort of, and the commission of inquiry then has to recommend.
Who has to cite them for misbehavior?
Anybody. I could take a complaint to the president, and then the president decides that he's going to hold a commission of inquiry.
I am wondering if, stretching the law, you can't take them
brewing in the public space. And that is in the headlines. It says, government locks out Forward Guyana movement from parliamentary committees.
Oh, yeah. And then the clerk of the National Assembly said it's been a mathematical formula used long ago.
And it's in the standing orders. The formula is simple. It is based on proportionality. What's the proportion of your seats in the National Assembly? That's the proportion of seats you can hold on the committees. And the smaller the number, the more disadvantaged the position of smaller parties become. So, for example, some committees may have 5 people, right? PPP got 200 and something thousand votes.
Win got
100 and something thousand. And PNC APNU got 70 something
78.
thousand. Amanza Walton-Desir got 3,000 and something. How do you proportionalize that for a 5-seat committee or a 7-seat committee? 3,000 versus 200,000, 3,000 versus 100,000, 3,000 versus 70,000. How do you get a seat in a 5-7-seat composition when you occupy seat based on the proportion of votes you receive? So if you raise that number now to 30, then certainly by the maths of largest remainder, leftover seat, or whatever name you want to call it, by the maths you might sneak in with a seat. And it's the same thing throughout on the region. For example, the Linden Town Council, the Linden Regional Democratic Council has, I think, 30 seats, right? 30, am I right?
I don't know.
I think whatever is the number, But with that large amount, you can sneak in one seat based on proportionality. Georgetown, not Georgetown, Region 4 also got a large number, and you could sneak in with one based on proportionality. But when the number becomes small, your number also becomes smaller with respect to percentage. And you can't then get a seat if they stand in order. So now let me just explain something quickly, Freddie. Let me just explain to people what is the standing order. Now, you have to have laws. Let's say there are three branches of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. So the government run based on laws. You got to go and pass laws, how the president must behave, how the president is elected, this, that. Similarly, laws govern how judges hand down sentence, what procedure they must follow in court, and so on. However, the behavior of the parliamentarians, they have to regulate their own behavior, their own procedure. And to regulate their own procedure, the legal document that they use, order. And they themselves decide what goes in and how the standing order is applied by majority vote. And the majority vote, I think it's a simple majority. Now, at any time, the parliament could decide to suspend its own standing order because they regulate their own procedure. What the opposition is trying to do right now, I see Amanza has a long video on that, why the government is trying to keep her out. And I see, I think Sherrod Duncan through his thing, he put out...
The Bell show?
Not through the show, through the credible sources got an article saying she is shut out, and Gordon Mosley got a news item. And the simple question a journalist got to ask when these people are saying they get shut out is, did the action taken by government, or well, not even by government, by parliament and the speaker, were these action in consonance with the standing orders or with the law governing the behavior of parliament? Now, what the opposition should have done, Freddie, is to take a motion to parliament asking to do one of two things. One, they can ask the standing orders and name them specifically for XYZ period, or for the rest or for the rest of the 13th parliament, to accommodate a change in the formula. Because again, it's just like the GECOM commissioners. When the formula, when these things were put together, nobody contemplated any major shift between the two big parties. And we are faced with a different reality now. And one of the opposition people could have just simply taken a motion to change, either completely change the standing order or to suspend it in its current form to allow for, but none of them did that. But they are coming out to the people at large to tell people that they get locked out. Like if the government decide that we're gonna break the rules and lock out somebody, we're gonna prevent them. And I said, I got 2 Facebook posts that I said that months ago, that nobody has the power to make Amanza or to grant Amanza a seat on any of the committees. I said that a long time. The opposition leader doesn't have the power. Nobody in the government, not even the speaker has that power. Orders. The standing orders say that. And they are being disingenuous, and they're being, they're not being honest to the people that they are explaining this thing to. They're not being honest. And what they're doing, they're pulling wool over people's eyes.
That's what they've been doing for
Yeah, that, as though
Since
the government
2020.
is doing something
Well,
to
let me
them,
tell you something,
and they have not done their work. And their work was to bring something and let the government vote against it. Bring something in cargage in paper and force the government to vote against it. But they haven't even done that. And they go, follow the rules, and when the rules are followed, they come out and cry wolf. But the rules are there since forever.
You are misinterpreting local lingo. And people overseas who know local lingo.
The cargage thing?
Cargage is money. You got cargage.
Not necessarily.
Papel is paper. You got to bring papel. You got papel.
No, cargage is more than money, man.
Cargage is money. Anyway,
Okay.
Here's what she has done. And it brings into question law versus morality. And when it comes to morality, I don't think after what went on in the selection of parliamentarians in the PNC, anybody could talk about moral application. She said, look, they're talking, but I only got one seat. But Asha Kissoon only got 240.
And Schumann, they mentioned Schumann as well.
But that was backed by law.
Yeah.
When Gail Teixeira recommended, it was legally valid because Asha Kissoon was sitting as a member of parliament.
And any member of parliament can become,
right.
Yeah.
So,
and it doesn't matter which.
So there was no mathematical formula to use opportunistically. But the same Amanza Walton seems to use moral argument to suit her own purpose. Let me tell you what she did. And she made it into a race thing that was so unfortunate, and we have to stop, Leonard, every one of us, taking simple situations and putting race into it. Now, the Cape results came out, and one guy who's an African guy, seemingly tough, and I think he was entitled to something.
That incident, yeah.
But then, when they boxed the regulations of the CXC, another guy got it. It happened to be an Indian guy. And then she made a fuss about it, and they made a fuss about the racial thing.
Yeah.
When you box the CXC book of regulations, the guy got 10 or 14, the other guy got 10 and 14, but it's required for a certain amount of A grades.
Yes.
And this other guy that got the top had an A grade in a subject that you must have an A grade.
So let me just put that in perspective. They are, let's assume, I can't remember. There are 3 criteria you have to meet even within the number of subjects that you have. For example, you have to write a subject. I'm just giving an example. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm giving an example. You have to have 1 general knowledge subject. You have to have 1 science and 1, let's say, social issue subject. Right? 1 science, 1 general, and 1 thing.
And to get the prize, the grades are required. To get the prize,
you got to get 2, at least 2 in this one, at least 2 in this one, 2 in this one. And the guy, though he got more grade 1s or grade A's,
didn't get the A.
He did not get the 2 required A in the general or in the science or in the whatever the topics are. That was the issue. And that was recorded in Barbados at CXC headquarters.
Nothing to do with Guyana.
And it had nothing to do with Guyana, it had nothing to do with race. And they opportunistically saying, hey, look, you have a young black boy with 15 subjects, and he didn't get it top, but an Indian guy with 13 get the top, but the Indian guy covered all the criteria that is written. What they needed to do was to argue for a change in the criteria so that that doesn't recur in the future. It's the same thing with the standing order. Your argument is with the standing order. Why not let's change it now, advocate for changing it now, so that in the future, when parliament composition is not reflective of the PPP-PNC combination in majority, then something else has to give. And that is what they need to advocate for. But instead, they're attacking people, that people are keeping them out, that people are doing this, and Guyanese people. And it has nothing to do with any set of persons or group of persons.
That I was really surprised when she put, as a lawyer, all you had to do was read the CXC requirement for having the first prize.
Yeah.
And you could have said you made a mistake. The thing about these people that I find frightening, and even in the media, and Starbuck News was a chief culprit for that, is the simple thing of, well, we looked at the regulation and we think the regulation should change.
Yeah, that is what needs to happen.
You're keeping out a young African guy. And they do not see that how that other guy felt. He felt that that is a Guyanese. I'm a Guyanese. She represents me in parliament. She's my parliamentarian. I account for her. I mean, they have to understand that when they do that to people, they hurt people. Because people see themselves as Guyanese. It reminds me of David Hines and the Black Pudding lady. Everybody run in to LBI to buy this black pudding, and David Hines said, when I got there, there's an Indian woman selling the black pudding.
He see a long line and then he decide to go to the front. Why the man skipping the line though?
But the thing is, a poor Guyanese person.
And it's not just that. He doesn't even know if that lady was brought up in an African family and that's all she knows and that's how she got to make her living. He doesn't even know that.
But you know, Leno, I grew up, I was born a few blocks from Border Market, and I've always by myself at Border Market. And I went to Border Market Saturday, this program is Sunday, and I tell all the thousands of viewers out there, I didn't hesitate for a moment. I walk and see this guy Oko. Me wife just tell me, buy small Okos. They're younger.
Right.
This man got a basket full of young Okos, and right there and then I buy Oko. It was a young African guy. You have to understand, here's who he was, his hair, and his didn't
I
just said,
figure.
That's the Oko. No, a sick, demented mind could say, let me see if an Indian seller, vendor, got small Oko like that.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, how could you not buy from that man? He didn't make himself African.
No.
I mean, he's a Guyanese vendor. No, nationality don't count in this country.
Right.
Jesus.
Look, staying on this parliamentary thing, there's a little more depth to it that people need to understand, and I want the viewers to follow me. A lot of people in politics may understand this, but a lot of viewers may not, and I want you to follow me on this. Throughout the history of our parliament in Guyana, the government appoints the speaker, and the opposition usually appoint the deputy speaker, or the deputy, not the opposition appoint, but the deputy speaker usually come from the opposition.
No, you're wrong. A majority of parliamentarians appoint the speaker because
No. I understand that. Allow me.
In the 2011 parliament,
that is what I'm coming to. That is what I'm coming to. Just allow me. I am talking about where they're taking from. So I just correct myself and say not the opposition appoint, but that is where it comes from. So what usually happens, and let me explain, or the rules and the constitution is any parliamentarian can become either speaker or deputy speaker, and in fact the speaker could be anybody, whether they're in or out of parliament, and they become a member of parliament by reason of being a speaker if they were not a member of parliament previous by election, right? But what used to happen is that the government nominates the speaker, and the opposition refrains. And so the government gets their speaker. And then the opposition nominates the deputy and the government refrains and allow whoever the opposition. And that was the tradition all the time, right? Coming down. And then when the opposition got the majority, remember Raphael Trotman became speaker. That's all right. The opposition got the majority. They named the thing. But when Granger became president, the government switched the formula and they took both. They took both the speaker and the deputy speaker. I think was Basil Williams, and then was deputy speaker, and the speaker was this man, Mr. Dr. Scotland. Even though the law allows it, you can call that a lockout, because the tradition is that the opposition gets deputy speaker, and then you use your majority to select both speaker and deputy speaker. In this case, you lock out, because this is not the rule stopping them. This is the arrangement that has always been in place since history. And so the opposition then, the PPP, was locked out of partaking. Then, when the script flipped in 2020, the government said, look, we are going to keep to the tradition. The opposition will get back their deputy speakership, but in this case, we are using our majority to elect the deputy speaker we want, or we feel most comfortable with. And that is how was made deputy speaker. But just remember that the entire assembly votes on speaker and deputy speaker, the entire assembly. And any person who is a member of parliament can become deputy speaker. It doesn't matter how many votes you got.
But Leno, one can argue that the moral pathway that Amanza Walton-Desir is using could be used against her. Now, this lady didn't get the full quota of votes to be in parliament. She had to be topper. And you want to tell me, in these parliamentary committees, an entity with one seat gets into a parliamentary committee when the opposition combined has 30 seats? You could say, man, she is occupying a space.
No, so let me put it this way. Let me put it even a little deeper for people to just digest this a little. Now, when you calculate the formula for a seat, you have to take the total number of votes divided by 65 to know the value of one seat. And the value of one seat come up to over 5,000. And when you have distributed the seats, you have something called the largest remainder. The one party with the largest remainder gets the last seat. But the other parties also get a remainder. PPP got some remainder, WIN got some remainder, and PNC got some remainder that cannot count towards a seat. Essentially, what is happening there for Amanza to get a seat, all of those extras actually have for her to get a seat. Essentially. If you follow what I'm saying, I'm just a logic I'm using here, and I'm using a moral position. So Amanza, more than anybody else sitting in parliament, is representing all the people of Guyana. More than WIN, because WIN segment their votes and say, we representing the people who vote for us and nobody else. PNC could do that, PPP could do that. But Amanza, more than anybody else.
She got PNC, PPP, WIN votes.
She got PNC, PPP, and WIN along with what?
Candidate.
Exactly. And so some of the hardline positions she is taking, she more than anybody else should not take it. And let me make a disclaimer. By giving these views, I am not a hater of Amanza. In fact,
She's your friend. She went to your wedding.
I would call her
was
my
there.
friend. I would even go as far as to say Amanza is somebody I love. But we just have different political views.
Perspectives, yeah.
And when you like somebody and you see they're going wrong, you need to just tell them. And I believe in this case and in a few other cases, I'm misleading people. And I think her political journey would be more respected if she tweaks her action with respect to these things.
This lady is disappointing. She started out, she broke away from PNC. She made a name for herself. I think she made a name for herself during the Adriana Young thing by saying Adriana. But something is wrong with her ability to make logical deduction. Hear what she did. Mm-hmm. She recommended 3 GECOM commissioners, right? And she said, I have a problem with those 3 GECOM commissioners. And she named one from her. She named the GECOM commissioner. She has with the 3 GECOM commissioners is that they're the lawyers for Azzuddin Mohammed. Mm-hmm. And guess who is, there is a conflict of interest there. That's what she said. Mm-hmm. But guess who is her GECOM commissioner?
Who?
Her colleague in her party, Forward Guyana, Mr. London.
Oh, she wants to nominate him as a commissioner?
Well, isn't that a conflict of interest too? How the lawyers are a conflict of interest, but not London?
Yeah. That's apparent immediately, and that's probably that's probably an argument you should not make.
She doesn't see these things.
And I've always said that members of the opposition, when they fail to do their part, in representing their people, when they fail, they then look for a scapegoat. They look for somebody to blame. And for example, going back to the same formula for the committees in Parliament, the proper thing to do, and I'm saying this to viewers, the proper thing the opposition should have done was to write a motion. Amanza herself could take that motion, or the PNC, the APNU also nominated her and the nomination failed, and WIN also nominated her for some committee and it failed. Either of them. And this, they're talking about opposition unity. This is something they could unite on quickly and easily. We are taking a motion to Parliament to have the standing order either changed or suspended for a definite period of time. Whatever that period, even if you say it's just for a year, to experiment how it works. And if we don't like it after a year, we just allow it to expire, or we could renew it. Amanza having her party and the smallest party, I do not know why they believe opposition means opposing everything under the sun. This is something her party could have worked with the government with. Look, we can talk to the government. We want to bring this thing, and to ensure its success, you vote with us when we bring this thing, and in exchange for that, we will support some other measure that you have. Even though the PPP does not need the support because they got a 7-seat cushion in Parliament, but being seen working together on something that is beneficial to Guyanese might actually help her party.
Do you know you're getting into political strategies there that is abysmally lacking in Guyana? I have argued. I mean, I do a daily column, says thousands of columns as the years go by. I have argued that Christopher Ram, the Guyana Human Rights Association, and Starbuck News have failed people that needed their help, have failed Guyanese, because you keep banging away the government shoes and looking, the government wear shoes that are shining, the government wear
That's
socks.
another topic I want to touch when you finish. Yeah.
What they should have done is carve out a strategy where they can deal with the government, sit down with the government, and then when they're talking, take a lady like Gaita Shearer. Gaita Shearer is a lady when you sit down and you reason with her. She starts and says, you think so, man? You think so? All right. I think you got a good argument there. And if Starbuck News and Christopher Ram and them would had articulated or adumbrated a strategy where you tell the president, man, the thing is all right, but not the other one. And they could have got things done. But you constantly bang in everything the government
it doesn't matter what. If the sun shines too much one day,
you know
you're banging away. For example, this simple thing with flooding, right? They saying when Granger was in power, there was no flood, right? Even though people are not blind, you could just go and pull it up on the internet and see that there was some amount of flooding and so on. And so on. And so people could go and pull this up and read it. What they could have said or could have done, because they're saying, oh, the government incompetent, that's why the place was kind of below sea level. When rain falls, the water will accumulate for a while, but then you see within hours the water usually run off. It has been happening over the last couple of days when rain falls. And instead of said, look, under Granger, water used to run off faster because 1, 2, 3 happened. And this is the largest solution we're proposing. So and outlay something. How you can extend that thing if you believe the water run off faster. How you extend that to a national drainage program and integration of drainage and what have you, and all these kinds of things. Nobody has done that. But they just take a camera, run down to Main Street, because they know Main Street is vulnerable, and stand up and roll up your pants and say, oh, look water, water all over. And that is called, you know what it's called, Freddie? Chicken licking politics. Upper Brick Dam nearby Ministry of Health had a little crack in the road. They run down there with a camera and say, oh God, Brick Dam broken up. Chicken licking politics. And you know the story of chicken licking, right? At the end of the day, when they do find out, chicken licking was dizzy. And a fox ended up eating chicken licking. He was dizzy, and because he dizzy and going around like that, he see the cloud looking like it turning around, and he said the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And that is the politics they're practicing, running around, hollering the sky falling. When things have simple explanation, when they could just be honest with people, and then propose alternative that people can work with, and then let the government refuse it. And when the government refuses it, you go back to the people and say, look, we have a reasonable plan here, but these unreasonable people over there, in listening to we, they believe they are, or whatever it is. They don't do that. They just walk around looking for click, to enrage people by clicks. That's what they run around for, but I don't win elections.
The one opportunity I think we had of introducing this new kind of political culture was Nigel Hughes. I thought after he resigned from the AFC, and he resigned for one purpose. If anybody tell you Nigel resigned for a series of reasons, a varieties of reasons, it's not so. Nigel Hughes resigned, I don't know what they at the convention.
You mean he resigned during the APNU plus AFC government?
Yeah, 2017.
Okay,
I don't know if you were at the retreat. He had objected seriously from 2015 May when he got into power that there must be a more level playing field between the two parties. And what you actually have is too much power concentrated. Right. And when the retreat at the convention center, the AFC, did not endorse that. And I think that resignation was done on a high note that could have started a new political culture in which he's saying, look, I left because I was anti-PPP, I helped to put the PPP out of power, but I can't tolerate any and everything. And I thought that he would have opened up that vista, that door. And I think that is one of the in him, because he had everything going for him. He resigned, he said, I'm not part of this thing. And when he decide to come back in politics, he should have said, look, I'm rising above the fray. I wasn't part of APNU, mistakes we made. And I think he could have got more votes than Amanza Walton, and maybe more seats if he had taken that pathway. But we need that kind of pathway. And the media, under Glenlal and the media under Anand Prasad at Starbuck, they just constantly been banging away. Everything.
For example, the same thing with the formula. I believe the people in the media know that the formula prevents Amanza from having a seat, but they never ask her the question. She went on a rant saying that she's locked out and all of that. All the media personnel got to ask, and Miss Walton-Desir, how do you interpret the formula that does not grant you the size of proportionality to get a seat on any of the committee? A simple question. But they never asked the question, but they just took what she said, I am being locked out, lock, stock and barrel, and just reported as Forward Guyana movement is locked out of committees.
But Leno, I think when we look back at that 2025 election, that 2025 election should have resulted in a psychological transformation of PNC leaders, AFC leaders, and Amanza Walton-Desir, because it was a stunning rejection of people who've been in your face every day. Look at Amanza Walton with the that girl's death, Adriana Young death. She was constantly at it. A horrible death. This girl was horribly murdered. David Hines was every day black, Indian, Indian, black, black, Indian, Indian. Don't push your mouth in black people business. And the election was stunning. Nigel Hughes got rejected.
Shellacked, the Americans to say. That's the term.
What?
They were shellacked.
I mean, Amanza didn't even get a seat.
No, well, she got the seat.
Amanza didn't even get 5,000 votes to earn a legal seat.
No, man. I don't like it when you put it that way. Legally, she got a seat.
She didn't meet the 5,000 criteria
for
to get a seat from win votes. Right. And when you think of all of that, you want to believe that there would have been periods of reflection. Norton, AFC, go and say, well, look, let me see, where did we go wrong? None of them have produced a paper of where they went wrong.
That is that is one of the things I'm saying, that the current opposition, all of them, bar none, have not, so they come up every day and they criticize the gas to energy project. But the only thing they have, the only substance they have to criticize it is that it's delayed and that the cost is more than the government originally estimated, which are things that happens all over the world every day. But nobody has gone deep into the gas to energy project to show what it means with respect to reducing electricity bills, why this could have been done differently to bring bigger benefits to the Guyanese people, and call on the government to change this aspect, or we support 1, 2, 3. in this thing because it will do this for Guyanese. But you see 3, 4, and 5 is not nice, and the government, if they can only make these little tweaks, nothing. And the other day I discussed with some people, including at home, that look, the opposition leader is likable because he was a celebrity. But he is not likable because he has policies. I am challenging anybody in Guyana to show me one policy advocated by the opposition leader that you can follow as a policy we could employ anywhere in Guyana.
Politician.
Exactly.
He reacts to
yeah, he just go and stand up in front of a little hole in some folk. That's what I call them chicken licking politicians. They run around, hello, the sky is falling, the sky, and that is what they do. Look, the other day, if I were Ganesh Mahipal, I would have been embarrassed. Gone on video, put a gentleman on video to make all kinds of accusations.
He said it's a what?
A bombshell, bombshell revelation. And when it's just talking points that anybody could go and make those talking points against the government.
Nobody knew about this man. Our job is to know him. I've never seen him.
What is worse, Freddie? When the interview came to an end, the man said, oh gosh, I went to the opposition leader, went to Win, and Win said they want to talk to me. They called me back, they refused, and then Ghani said, oh, you went? And that is basic. When somebody come with a revelation, the first question you gotta ask them, who else have you spoken to? If anybody who doing something, anybody come to me, I ain't gotta get journalistic skills, that's basic. Somebody come with a bombshell, quote unquote bombshell revelation. The first question is, who else have you spoken to? You getting that reveal on camera at the end of a long list of stupidness that has no substance in it. Anybody could have come and said those things.
Ganesh Mahipal hype up this guy.
Yeah.
So you think it's some top former minister, former executive of the... It's a man, he said he's a cousin of you. But if you're a cousin of the president, I'm sure the president must have got... I'm sure every minister...
Until now he can't say how he is a cousin.
Yeah.
Whether he's a first cousin, true brother, sister, mother.
Do you think...
it's just a comedy, a comic show going on.
I have a theory. Do you think that man in his own way, he's no big intellectual, he's no big politician, but do you think he can't take Ganesh?
I believe so, man, Ganesh, I know you good. Me and you are all right.
Hey,
but
stop that.
But
Ganesh. The last time a man said he and not.
No, Ganesh not gonna sue me. No.
Oh.
But Ganesh man, oh buddy, oh. Me and you are right, man.
How he could find himself in such a...
How you gonna do that, man?
People laugh instead of he's dropping a bombshell and raising his profile went down because the man made fun of him.
Another comedy quickly before we go. The president has worn a couple of clothes the other day. One looking like an army fatigue, the other and thing and so on. And these guys gone on Facebook. I'm talking about solid opposition parliamentarian. Gone on Facebook and talking about the president body shape and body size. You could imagine this? They're trying to body shame the parliament, the president.
I haven't. I'm not on Facebook. But you can't find... Is it Terrence Campbell? I know he body shame, he's body shame people.
It's all of them, some of them share Duncan posts, share and comment, and it is just stupid politics. Since I was born as a little child,
they ain't got nobody to advise them.
I know that they got fine people, fat people, people struggling with weight, people struggling with weight on the opposite side. It is part of life. Exactly, but it does not define the essence of a person. And when you try to body shame somebody, it shows your essence and that you have none, and that you are low thinker.
I haven't seen this thing. Member
I am telling you, member serving.
On Facebook?
On Facebook, who will make the comments.
So it's public, it's public.
Yes, who
And you
will make
remember
the
the
comments.
names?
Who will, telling you Sherrod Duncan is one of them.
oh.
Who will make the comment.
No, because I'm going to write
Who will
about
make
that.
the post, make the comment underneath or share it. And that is where our politics has gone. That is where opposition, and
But the
I
thing
am
is,
saying
the thing
every
is,
day,
Duncan doesn't have a mother, he doesn't have sisters.
I am
He
saying every day, these people can't be creative. The position the opposition is in right now demands creativity, demands a new level of thinking, but they don't
I want
have
to
that.
end on this note, and I don't know if you will approve of it. And if you think it's not the right thing to say, because our point is saying it, I think of an Ali cut some more attractive figure than Duncan.
I am not going there right now comparing people and people looks and all that. I ain't going there. But all I am saying,
I should not have gone there.
I
take that back. I take that back.
All I am saying is that people are different for different reasons
I should not have gone there.
that none of us in this world could control, and we have to appreciate that and appreciate the essence of a human.
On that note of all of us are equal before nature, and if you are a godly person before God, and we should be accepted, we are all equal on the face of this earth. We will see you on Wednesday. Hope you liked our program. We will try to have a guest. If not, we do our thing again. But thanks for being with us on this Monday evening. See you on Wednesday evening. On behalf of Leonard Craig and our hardworking operators, catch you later. Bye-bye.